A brand new, charcoal gray sedan pulled over in front of the rundown convenience store, and a woman in a perfectly tailored business suit stepped out. Officer David Thorne, known for his aggressive demeanor and quick temper, saw the expensive car and immediately saw red. "You can't park that luxury car here, ma'am," he said, his voice laced with disdain. "This is a public sidewalk, officer." "I'm just waiting for a friend," the woman replied, her voice cool and steady. "Not in this part of town. Now move it before I write you a ticket." Thorne leaned against her car door, his presence intimidating. "I have every right to be here," she said, her eyes meeting his. What Thorne didn't know was that in just 48 hours, this calm, unyielding woman would be his new police commissioner. The call crackled over Thorne's radio at 3 p.m. Another routine dispatch that would set a chain of events in motion. Unit 74, suspicious person reported at the bus stop on Elm Street. Thorne, a 15-year veteran of the Northwood Police Department, knew Elm Street well. It was his personal stomping ground. No cameras, few witnesses, and a reputation he'd built on intimidation and easy arrest that a young man named Liam Carter, 19, sat innocently on a bench, scrolling on his phone, waiting for his bus home after his college classes. Clean record, bright future. Thorne pulled up, stepping out with a practiced swagger. "On your feet, hands where I can see them." Liam, startled, complied. "What's the problem, officer?" he asked nervously. "You tell me. Plenty of drug activity around here. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Thorne sneered. "No, sir. I don't use drugs." Liam's voice trembled. "They all say that." Thorne moved closer, his voice a low growl. "Empty your pockets." Liam hesitated. "Do you have a warrant?" Thorne scoffed. "Got something to hide? Only guilty people worry about warrants." Hours later, in a precinct interrogation room, Liam, exhausted and intimidated, signed a confession for marijuana possession. He had never touched a drug in his life, but Thorne had perfected the art of breaking down suspects. Another easy case closed. Another notch on Thorne's impressive arrest record. What he didn't know was that Liam's aunt, a powerful federal prosecutor named Cassandra Cassie Vance, had just received the call that would make her the new police commissioner, and she was furious about what had happened to her nephew. Cassie hung up the phone, a storm brewing in her eyes. The dream job she pursued for months, the Northwood Police Commissioner position, was finally hers. But the joy was overshadowed by the tremor in Liam's voice when he called from the precinct. "Aunt Cassie, I swear I didn't have anything. He just kept asking for hours, and I was so tired I signed it." Cassie knew Liam. He was a scholarship student, a volunteer at the local youth center, and had never been in trouble. But she also knew the dark underbelly of a justice system she had fought against her entire career. Her years as a federal prosecutor had taught her about power and corruption. There was no direct proof of misconduct, but whispers about Officer Thorne's high confession rates and questionable tactics had reached her ears. She found patterns in his past arrests. Young men, mostly from disadvantaged backgrounds, coerced into confessions. In 48 hours, she'd have the authority to tear through David Thorne's entire career. But first, she wanted a first-hand look at his methods. As a concerned citizen, she paid him a visit at the precinct, the challenge. Days later, Cassie walked into the Northwood Police Department, appearing as just another citizen with a grievance. Thorne emerged from the back office, an annoyed look on his face. "You again?" he grumbled. "Yes. I've been looking into the confession rates here. They're concerning." Cassie presented a folder. "Last year, officers like you had an 89% confession rate. The state average is 23%. Thorne's face hardened. "Where did you get those numbers?" he demanded. "Public records, court documents. It's all there if you know where to look." Cassie's voice remained calm, unwavering. "I'm concerned about patterns like witnesses changing stories or evidence suddenly appearing." Thorne glared at her. This woman was different. She wasn't intimidated. "Who are you exactly?" he demanded. "Just someone who believes in justice." As she walked away, Thorne felt a flicker of unease. He had no idea she would be sitting in the commissioner's office the very next day. 24 hours before her official announcement, Cassie returned to the precinct. Thorne, frustrated by his supervisor's questions about the persistent problem citizen, met her in a deserted hallway. "You need to stop coming here," he he snarled, pushing her against the wall and grabbing her arm. Listen to me. If you keep this up, I can make your life hell. I have connections. Cassie broke free, her voice cold. Get your hands off me, Officer Thorne. You just made a very serious mistake. It's all on camera. Panic flickered in Thorne's eyes as he looked at the security camera. The next morning, the department gathered for the official announcement. Thorne's stomach dropped as Mayor Henderson introduced their new commissioner, Cassandra Vance. Cassie pinned her badge, her gaze sweeping the room, landing on Thorne. My first priority will be accountability. Any officer who is engaged in inappropriate conduct will face the consequences. In her office an hour later, Cassie calmly played the security footage for internal affairs and the mayor. This happened 3 days ago. I am filing a formal complaint for assault and abuse of power. Officer Thorne also tried to have this footage deleted and filed a false report claiming I was the aggressor. Thorne was immediately suspended without pay. News of the incident rocked the city. Local reporters highlighted Commissioner Vance's investigation into coerced confessions. Community leaders demanded action. Liam's lawyer filed to overturn his confession, unraveling the truth. Cassie called in the State Bureau of Investigation, SBI, for an independent review of Thorne's cases. Over 6 weeks, they uncovered a disturbing pattern, an 89% confession rate, evidence appearing suspiciously, and phone records showing calls from near Thorne's home to witnesses who later changed their stories. Financial irregularities also emerged. Liam's case was the first to go to court. Audio recordings revealed Thorne's illegal interrogation tactics, food and water deprivation, threats against Liam's mother. Security footage from Liam's job proved he was at work when the alleged crime occurred. A paid informant admitted Thorne had coached him to lie. Liam's conviction was overturned. Officer Thorne systematically violated constitutional rights, the judge declared, sentencing Thorne to 8 years in federal prison. It wasn't life, but it was justice. With Thorne gone, Cassie focused on reform. Body cameras became mandatory. Interrogation procedures were updated to include recordings and immediate access to lawyers. A community review board was established, and training programs were expanded. Change was slow, and not every officer embraced it. But the culture began to shift. 2 years later, citizen complaints were down by 40%, use of force by 35%, and confession rates normalized. Liam, now a law student, interned at the public defender's office, determined to help others. Cassie, promoted to regional commander, oversaw reforms across 5 counties. Real change takes generations, she told new recruits. You are part of something better. The system wasn't perfect, but it was improving. Accountability was now the standard. Thorne would be released in 2 years. Whether he'd learned his lesson was uncertain, but the system that once protected him was now designed to hold officers accountable, and that made all the difference.